Hello everyone, welcome to Study Knits. This is podcast number 12. Hi everyone, welcome back to Study Knits. If you're new here, my name is Allie and I'm a fourth year medical student currently living in the US, and I love knitting and talking about knitting. It's been a while since I uploaded a podcast. I think it's been about 4 weeks since my last video. However, I recorded that video like 2 weeks before I uploaded it. So it's been like 6 weeks since I have recorded a podcast video. I promised I would never go that long again. And here we are. So we have a lot to get through. So I'll keep the beginning chatting to a minimum. I also say that every time that I have a long video, and I say I'll keep the chatting to a minimum, but the only reason I have this is to chat, so why would I minimize the chat? I'm, again, in a new place. If you're new here, I'm in my last year of medical school, and I'm basically traveling around, doing my rotations, staying with a new friend or family member each month. I'm back in New York. This is actually my very last rotation of medical school, which is so crazy exciting. I'm so excited to be done. You guys have no idea. Let's see, what day is today? Today's March 10th. It's Monday, and next week is match week, which is so crazy to think about. So next Friday, the 21st, 10 days from now, I'll find out where I'm going to residency, where I'm going to be living for the next couple of years. So it's pretty exciting. It's all coming to an end, but excitingly enough, that means I'll have a permanent home sometime soon, which is, well, permanent-ish, I'll rent a place for a couple of years, but either way, that's pretty exciting. That's it for big life updates. I do follow just a normal podcast format. I have, how many finished objects? It's a lot. I have 5 finished objects and 2 whips. 1 pseudo acquisition, we'll get to it at the end. I take very detailed notes on my Ravelry, a lot about tension, needle size, yarn, and then any modifications that I make. So at any point, if you feel like you need clarification on something that I've said or about one of my projects, my Ravelry is linked below. You can go check it out there and see if that answers your question. If not, feel free to DM me or leave me a comment or anything. With that, we'll get into it. I'm gonna wait to tell you about what I'm wearing, because this is a new finished object, and I like to go chronologically in terms of when I finished all of the objects. So I'll save this to talk about when I actually talk about the finished object. All right, first finished object. Let me pull my notes up in my Ravelry. First up is my Eva cardigan. Probably should have buttoned it up. My Eva cardigan. This is a pattern by Petite Knit. I knit this. This is not for me. This is a gift for my friend. I'm going to give it to her next weekend. So I'm glad I still have it so I can film it and insert B-roll and show you guys everything. I used Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the color Blue Jean. Blue Jeans. Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the color Blue Jeans. I used a 4mm needle for all of it, and then 3.5 millimeter for cuffs and whatnot. I got these cute little buttons from Michaels, just in their little button section. Those are all of the basics. A note for the B-roll that I inserted, I made the size small for my friend. I usually wear a size medium. So this is a size smaller than what I would have knit for myself. It still kind of fits me and looks kind of cute, but do just keep that in mind. My gauge, I know you're wondering, because I've been trying to be more, take more note of my gauge and my tension. So I measured my tension afterwards. I did swatch for this. Did I? No, I did swatch for it. My finished gauge was 21 stitches over 30 rows, again using the 4mm needle. Yeah, 20 stitches over 30 rows is the suggested gauge. So mine was a little bit tighter. In theory, could have gone up a needle size, but oh well. But I ended up using about 10 skeins of yarn for this, not about, almost exactly 10 skeins for this project. I think last time I checked in with you guys, I hadn't done the sleeves yet, and I was just about to start the ribbing on the body. I can't remember if I touched on how much yarn I was using or not, but shortly after, either around the time that I filmed the podcast or shortly afterwards, I started getting concerned that I was gonna run out of yarn, and I did run out of yarn. I ordered 2 more skeins from Knitting for Olive, just in case. I thought I was only gonna need 1 more. I had 9 to start with, so then I had about 2 more and had 11. I ended up using 10. Like, I'm glad I have the extra one here instead of having to go back and order more yarn from Knitting for Olive. That would have sucked. They were different dye lots. I believe what I did is, I think there's a different dye lot on one of the sleeves. Sometimes I've noticed when filming, when there's different dye lots, that it shows up, the dye lot difference you can see on camera a lot easier than in person. So one of these sleeves, I believe, has half of a different dye lot. I don't even know if you can see it. And then I know that I worked the button band using a different dye lot, because I figured you wouldn't even be able to tell anyways. That way I didn't have to worry about alternating skeins, helical knitting, anything like that. Glad I was able to finish this. This is a contiguous construction. I have never worked a contiguous like shoulder construction before. I've pretty much only ever done like seamed, raglan, and drop shoulder. And I really enjoyed it, I have to say. I don't think it was, there were definitely, I think I had 2 issues with it. The issues being that I either like increased one time when I shouldn't have increased, or didn't increase one time when I should have increased. And it was so long ago that I can't remember if I went back and fixed it, or if I just like either knit 2 together or just added another increase somewhere. So it definitely just was a lot of like being purposeful and knowing where I needed to increase on every right side, or knowing where I needed to increase like every other right side, all of that. Let's see, speaking of the button band, this is like one of the ones where you work it afterwards, you don't work it as you go. I always struggle when picking up stitches, sort of like, I guess just like along a cast off edge, when you're not picking up stitches in a circle. I always struggle knowing where is the first stitch or the last stitch you should pick up, if that makes sense. So you can see here, let me show you the side without the button, I think it'll be easier. You can see here, there's sort of like a divot. It's not perfectly like flat across. And I considered fixing it. However, I think it's one of those things that only I notice, and this is not for me. I didn't really know how to do it, and I'd also spent a lot of time on this already, and I was just like, whatever, we'll call it a day. But that definitely does bug me. I should have just picked up an extra stitch here, and it's the exact same thing on the other side. I was scared of it being sort of the opposite problem, where it was like bulging if I picked up too many stitches, but it's neither here nor there. That is just something that I notice that is an imperfection, and it bothers me, but at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. And when I was picking stitches up, I was worried, like, where's the last one I should pick up a stitch in? Where's the first one I should pick up a stitch in? Honestly, at least they're symmetrical. Like, that's pretty much all I can say, is at least it's symmetrical. Another interesting thing, I knit the sleeves to pattern size. Okay, like I remember how many centimeters, like knit 30 centimeters and then start the ribbing. And I did that, and I was looking at it, and I was like, I know this is like a size smaller than what I would normally wear, but I tried it on, and this finished sleeve came to like here. It wasn't even like, it was like a 3/4 length sleeve, and in the pattern photos, it's not supposed to be 3/4 length. I'm not really sure what happened. And then I was knitting it as a surprise for my friend. I wanted to surprise her. This is my friend that I stayed with 2 months ago now. So this is late, but it's fine. I'd wanted to surprise her with it. But then I ended up not being ready on time, and then I was worried about the sleeve length anyways. So I was just like, listen, I'm making you this cardigan. I'm worried about the sleeve length. Can you try it on? And she tried it on, and they were also too small, like too short on her. So I just ended up knitting a couple of extra centimeters. I don't even remember how many extra centimeters I knit, but is it in here? Yes, I knit 37 centimeters of stockinette, and then did the ribbing. And it fits me now just fine. So I'm assuming it'll fit her. And then the other thing, I didn't touch on this, but I am pretty good about, this is going back to the yarn amount issues. I'm pretty good about being purposeful about how much yarn that I buy. I don't want to end up with a lot of extra, but I don't want to end up with not enough. Obviously would rather have more than less, but I just don't like having leftover yarn and looking at it going, oh, well, what do I make with it now? Like, you know what I mean? I love when I finish a project and the leftover yarn can just go into my scrap bag. With this one, I calculated out how many meters of yarn I needed of the heavy merino. And I just recalculated it because I was like, maybe I was stupid. Like, it's happened before. I've calculated it. I thought I needed 10 skeins for something, and I recalculated, and it turns out I need 11 and a half. And like, that's on me. But I recalculated it, and for a size small, I needed about 8.7 skeins of knitting for olive, and I ended up using 10. My gauge is pretty similar. Probably, no, it didn't even come from the sleeves because I ran out of yarn before I decided to rework the sleeves. So I'm really not sure what happened and why I ran out of yarn. It does always bother me, especially when I feel like I'm doing like the right thing, and when I gauge swatch and then measure out and calculate how much yarn I need, I then need more yarn. I don't really know if it's a me problem, if it's a designer problem. It could just be a fluke because it doesn't happen all that much, but it could just be a fluke. If you have any insight, let me know. But it does just bother me. Overall, I love this. I love knitting for olive heavy merino, obviously. You all know that. I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, we'll call it a day. I think that's all I have to say about this. So, okay, next one. Staying on theme with knitting for olive heavy merino on 4mm needles. This is Neckwarmer 35 by Thea Vesterby. This is knit on knitting for olive heavy merino in the color Dark Moose, again on 4mm needle. Is this a one size pattern? I think it's a one size pattern. Speaking of dye lot issues, leftover yarn, this was all left over from the Dad's Sweater by Emily Curtis that I knit for my boyfriend's dad for Christmas. Same kind of thing happened. I was worried I was going to run out of yarn, so I ordered more yarn, different dye lots, ended up having extra skeins, but I had almost exactly enough yarn to make this. This is how much of it I had left. I just measured it. It's 4 grams. I used 171 grams for this. I cranked this out in like a week. It was really, really fun to make. I love texture and cables. And this is like a perfect size project as well. I made this, I was in upstate New York last month, which is, if you are unfamiliar with the climate of the US, it's like so freaking cold. It was so cold, and I have 3 other cowls. They're all in storage. And I wanted one with me when I was in upstate New York, and I used this a lot, and it was just so warm. I do just love a cowl or a neck or just something that'll keep me warm, and then I can just pop it off. It's a lot smaller than a scarf or a shawl. I love. So I love the finished object. The other thing, I was taking pictures of this for Ravelry and Instagram, and there are different dye lots in here. I had a dye lot issue when I reordered yarn for Chris's dad's sweater, and I just decided, since it was for me, I didn't care. And it's a cowl, it's not like necessarily a fashion statement. I didn't really care if the dye lots were different, so I tried to use like 2 separate dye lots for the front and the back with the seams and everything. But and I'm looking at it, and I was like, oh, I can't really I can't really tell, like maybe I can see it, maybe I'm imagining things, and I was taking pictures of it. I'll put the pictures up. And when I was taking pictures, I was like, oh my gosh, there's such a weird shadow. Like, I don't know what's going on with the shadowing of it. It was just the different dye lots, and it's so stark on camera, and I can't see it with my eyes. Like, I think you can probably see it here. You can definitely see it on the neck because I use different dye lots for the neck. And then I hope you guys can see it. If you guys can't see it, it's just gonna look foolish, but you can't really see it with the eyes. But I'm super happy with how this turned out. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous cabled pattern, and I love it. I love the finished result. Okay, I'll say that. This was a very confusing pattern. I think half of it had to do with probably some translation language issues because I don't believe the designer's first language is English. I don't think, well, the pattern was not originally released in English. It was translated to English. There were just some typos that were like understandable. But then there was a lot of sort of like I had to do a lot of leaping, if that makes sense. Like sort of just looking at the pattern, I knew that I had to repeat this motif 3 times, but it wasn't super clear. It just wasn't super clear at a lot of places. And then at the point to make decreases, I was really, really confused. It was said like purl 2 together. It didn't say like how many total decreases should be worked. There were several groups of 4 purls altogether. I wasn't sure which groups you're supposed to basically purl 2 together with each set of 4 purls together. I wasn't sure if it was within the motif, in between the motifs. It was like very difficult to understand. I will say I did leave a comment on the Ravelry page and the designer with this specific question, and the designer responded within 24 hours. So even though like that was my big question, my big complaint about it, the designer responded almost like very, very quickly. And I was able to go back and fix what I had messed up on. So I will say that. There also this part at the bottom is really interesting. It's like a bunch of weird looking cable things. Oh, I didn't trim the ends. Weird looking cable things. That was not confusing in the pattern. That was difficult for me to do. It was just a set of like 4 stitch repeats over and over and over, and I kept getting confused and messing up. That's on me. That's not on the pattern designer. What else? There were, just in terms of repeating the pattern motif, the decreases, the cabling at the end, there were a couple of times where I was zooming in on the pattern photo, zooming in on other people's projects, reading through comments on Ravelry, trying to figure out what I should do next. And I do just always feel like that's like a bad sign in a project. Not in a project, just in a pattern when I'm trying to figure out what to do next. The instructions aren't clear, and then I have to zoom in on people's completed projects at certain spots in the pattern to try to see what I need to do next. I don't like to drag like yarns or, well, that's not true, with small designers, like small pattern designers, small yarn companies. I don't like dragging them. However, there were just a lot of errors in this pattern. It's one of those I was like, I really don't feel like it was worth money, if that makes sense. When I pay for a pattern, I expect it to be relatively error-free, like very clear. If it's a free pattern, like you do whatever you want, but just paying for a pattern, I feel like there's like a level of professionalism that should come with that, and it should be relatively error-free. And I don't feel like this was that. Like, I don't really feel like it was worth the money that I spent on it, if that makes sense. The finished result is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so happy with it. I love the way it looks. But I do feel like it was not worth the money that I spent on the pattern. With that being said, I would still be open to using some of her other patterns. However, this one I think is either relatively new or there aren't a ton of projects on Ravelry, so I'd be open to working a more like established pattern of hers. But for this, finished result, gorgeous, pattern, confusing. That's all I wanted to say about it. Now moving on to what I'm wearing. This is the Sadie Sweater by Ozetta, and it was knit in Surella yarn Classic DK from the Eras Collection Part 2 in the color Champagne Problems. And I love everything about this sweater. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Absolutely obsessed. I made the size medium. I used a 4.5mm needle, pretty much all of it. I used 522 grams, so I have about 75 grams left over. Not really sure what I'm going to do with it. What else? My finished gauge, it was 19 stitches over 30 rows. Pattern was 20 stitches over 30 rows. I did swatch for this. I'm also just obsessed with this yarn. Look at this. It's like green. It's a tonal. It's like a lovely green and brown. I knit this up pretty fast. How long did it take me? It took me about 3 weeks to make. I feel like I flew through it. I was knitting other things at the same time as well. Since this is hand-dyed yarn, I intended to alternate skeins. I did alternate skeins, but at the very beginning I forgot. And there is a line, it's sort of, I was finishing up the right side, like the right shoulder. So it's right sort of where the neckline starts. I'm imagining you can see it on camera. I can see it with my eyes, but it doesn't really bother me that much. I alternated skeins throughout the rest of the body as well, and I think there's a chunk sort of in here that's a little darker. Again, it doesn't really bother me. It's a tonal yarn, it's hand dyed. Like, I sort of knew that coming in, that it was going to be like that, and it doesn't bother me, so I'm not too pressed about it. And it has little rolled edges, rolled stitches, and a rolled neck. Rolled neck, and then the hemline is also rolled. I've knit some rolled edges before. Sometimes I feel like it starts rolling and it doesn't stop. Do you know what I'm saying? The body is kind of doing that already. In the pattern, she gives advice for how to stop that. I did do it a little bit differently. The sleeves, you can see there's like no give. I went down 1 or 2 needle sizes, I can't remember. Yeah, I went down a half needle size, so I used a 4mm needle, knit a couple of rounds, and then bound off pretty tightly for the sleeves. I wanted the body to have some give to it. I didn't want it to be too tight, so what I did was I worked 2 rounds of ribbing and then a couple of rounds of stockinette and then bound off. I'll just insert B-roll. I won't stand up and show you the bottom, but it's holding up pretty well. You can definitely, you can see the ribbing. That doesn't really bother me. It was a trade-off between that, either like seeing the ribbing or the body being too tight. And I do have like pretty wide hips compared to my waist and my bust. So when knitting something that's tighter at like the bottom, it sometimes will like be too tight on my hips, and I didn't want that. So I opted for the ribbing. Very happy with it. I love the length. I think I knit it exactly to pattern. I didn't make it any shorter or longer. And I love this. The yarn it's superwash merino. It's incredibly soft, but you know what that means. It pills quite a lot, and it's already starting to, I don't know if you can tell, but it's already starting to pill. I've worn it maybe like 5 or 6 times since I finished it, and it's already starting to pill. Again, it's a trade-off. Like, I love this yarn. It's a special yarn to me, and I wasn't gonna not get it and not make a sweater with it because it was starting to pill, or because I knew it was gonna pill. Well, now this starts a sort of green theme that you'll see for the rest of the video, and I'll explain it here. I just got back this weekend. I went to Chicago for my college friend's bachelorette party, and it's close to St. Patrick's Day, and did a little like St. Patrick's Day themed, but then also she loves Shrek, so there was a loose Shrek theme for the bachelorette as well, and I wanted to have a lot of green things to wear in Chicago because it's cold. And also I love green. Green is like my favorite color and I really don't have a ton of green knits. So I was super happy to have this. I wore it twice when I was in Chicago. I'll put some pictures in. I wore it with like jeans and a t-shirt underneath it, and then I wore it with a turtleneck underneath it and then a skirt. And it was super comfy. It was super warm. And I loved it. And then in addition, it was also incredibly breathable because I also went out to a disco club wearing this sweater. And yes, it was hot and I was toasty in there, but I wasn't like about to die and keel over because I was wearing a wool sweater. So this sweater does it all. It kept me warm on the streets and it kept me a little cool in the disco. Yeah, this is one of my favorite things that I've ever made for myself and like finished it. And I tried it on, actually when I tried it on when I was done with it, and I was like, okay, like it's cute or whatever, like I like it. And then I blocked it and tried it on after it was done blocking, and for whatever reason blocking, it just like, it looked so much better after it was done blocking. And then I think I felt better after it blocked because I saw what the sleeves were doing with the roll and the hem was doing with the roll, and I was satisfied that it was not going to be an uncontrolled roll. So I absolutely love this. I complained in an earlier video, but I've been wanting more like simple staple knits in my wardrobe. I have a lot of like vests or things with mohair or patterns, things that look elevated. Not necessarily things that I can just throw on with like leggings, or I could throw on and be like really casual. And so I've been wanting more sweaters in my closet that are like that are just like elevated sweatshirts. Basically, if you know what I'm saying, like this looks good with leggings, but like a mohair sweater does not look good with leggings. It looks weird. So I'm really happy to have this. Yeah, I absolutely love this. I'm obsessed with it. Would definitely make more Sadie sweaters and would definitely use this yarn again. That's pretty much all that I have to say about it. I could keep going on and on about how much I love this, how well it fits, how delightful it was to make, and how delightful the yarn was to work with, but we don't really need like 10 minutes of me talking about that. So with that, I'll move on. Okay, more green. This is a Sophie Shawl by Petite Knit. Incredibly popular pattern. A lovely triangular shawl. I love this pattern. I knit this is exciting. I knit this using Filcolana Peruvian in the color 221, which is thyme. I knit it for this trip. I was panicking because I wanted a green scarf to wear because I love a theme. This is just a side note about me. I absolutely love a theme. So when we were gonna do like a green theme, I was like, well, I don't have a green coat. I don't want to buy a green coat. I don't have a green bag. I didn't really want to buy a green bag necessarily. Actually, no, I couldn't find a good one on Poshmark that I liked. And I was being picky. And I was like, well, I need something green on the outside. I'll just make a green scarf. So I decided to make this Sophie Shawl. I have another Sophie Shawl that I made using Wool of the Indies tweed in Sarsaparilla Heather. It's one of my favorite garments or just like accessories that I own. I absolutely love it. And so I've been wanting to make another one. And so I decided making a green one for Chicago would be great. This is my first time using Filcolana Peruvian. It's a new to me yarn. It's 100% like Peruvian Highland wool, and I absolutely love it. It's really soft. I put it to my face as if I didn't wear it all weekend, like on my neck and in my face. It's so soft for being 100% wool. It is super warm. I absolutely love this yarn. We'll be using this yarn again. I had a couple of other yarns I was debating between, but I was being picky about my green color. This is my favorite of the greens that I was looking at that would have been able to ship to me in time to make it. Let's see. I used a 5mm needle for this. It gave it a nice breathable, it's not too dense, but yeah, green. I bought 6 skeins for this and I used all 6 of them. So this is significantly larger than a large. I went up to 72 stitches on this. I believe the size large is like somewhere in the high 60s for how many. It's a lot. And I just decided to keep working until I had reached the third skein, and then just started decreasing so that I wouldn't have any left over. And I didn't have any left over. It's like, I think like 2 grams was left over, and I put it in my scrap bag. And then my other Sophie shawl is quite large. I did a similar, did I do a similar thing? Doesn't matter. It's quite large. I finished this one and I tried it on before blocking, and I wrapped it around. It did like a wrap or two, and I was like, oh, I kind of wanted it to be bigger. I liked how large my other one was. And I was like, well, oh well, it is what it is. I blocked it. I wish I had measured how long it was before I blocked it, and then after I blocked it, because it grew so much. It is like almost a bit too long. Like when I wrap it around my neck and it tangles and the ends are even, they're like this far off the ground. Like if I knit it any longer, it would be like dragging the ground. But I absolutely loved this. I love wearing it as a hood. I did debate making the Sophie hood, which Petite Knit just released, and it's basically the Sophie shawl, but designed to be a hood. I debated that, but I feel like I enjoy this being a hood. I feel like it works really well as a hood, and then I also get a scarf / shawl out of it, not just a hood. I would be fine making the hood one day, but I think maybe using like leftover yarn, making it like a little smaller, maybe not so massive, but I really just wanted a chunky shawl / scarf. And then I do love, like, I find this quite easy to make into a hood that goes around and covers my head and my ears. So yeah, love this. Kept me very warm in Chicago, and I love it. Great green color, great yarn, great pattern. No other notes. My last finished object was like so chaotic, but crazy. This is a Harlow sweater V-neck. This is a pattern by Kadri, and this yarn is, surprise, it's knitting for all the heavy merino in Dusty Artichoke. Gorgeous, gorgeous collar that I've been drooling over for quite some time now. I guess I'll go through the specs and then finish talking about it. Drop shoulder, V-neck, 2x2 rib. I used a 4.5 millimeter needle for the body and then some smaller needles for the cuffs. I ended up using about 461 grams, so about 9 1/4 skeins. I have about 3 3¾ skeins left, because I ended up buying more when I bought more yarn for the Eva Cardigan, because I was worried that, I was gonna run out of yarn. Anyway, I just bought more, so I have a lot left over now, which is my own fault, but I'll find something to do with it. Let's see. My finished gauge was 18 stitches over 28 rows. And I believe the pattern, 19 stitches over 28 rows. How long did this take me? This took me about 2 weeks to make. Slightly less, like a week and a half. I cranked this out like so fast. You guys have no idea. It was on purpose. So basically, for those of you that may or not remember, but I've been talking about this for a while. One, I had this Dusty Artichoke that I bought a while ago, and I love it. I love it. I originally wanted to make an Eva Cardigan with this yarn for myself. I've been talking about it for a while. I wanted an Eva Cardigan. And then I made my friend's Eva Cardigan. Actually, no, before I started her Eva Cardigan, Kadri announced that she was releasing the Harlow cardigan. And I was like, wait, I love Kadri. I absolutely love her. I love the Harlow sweater. I was like, maybe I should make the cardigan for my friend. Pattern got released, but I'd already started that one, so I just left it. And I was like, maybe I'll make it for myself. Basically, I finished the Sadie Sweater, and then I knew I was going to cast on with this yarn next, because I wanted it for Chicago, obviously. And I had like the day or two before I was going to cast it on, I had this like crisis. I was set on casting on the Eva Cardigan because I really liked the way that one looked and fit and everything. So I was set on casting on Eva Cardigan, but then I was like, wait, do I want a cardigan that's not like a V-neck, that's like a closed neck like that? Do I want a cardigan like that instead? I was debating, and then for some reason, like I was just looking at the Harlow sweater V-neck. I was like, wait, do I want a Harlow sweater V-neck? And then I had this like epiphany, and I was like, wait, I love this yarn. I should make a Harlow sweater V-neck. Because for those of you that don't know, I had one. I knit one for myself. It was my favorite thing ever. And I accidentally put it in the washing machine and it felted. So I don't have that one anymore, and I've been distraught about it for now almost 2 years. So I've been wanting to make another Harlow sweater V-neck, and just for whatever reason never got around to it. So I had this like epiphany, and I was staying with one of my friends, and I was talking to her about it, and I was like, what should I do? Should I do this, this, and this? And she was like, you seem really excited about this V-neck. Like, I think you should make the V-neck. So I decided to make the Harlow sweater V-neck, and I'm so happy with it because I missed having a little V-neck that I could just pull on over anything. Kind of goes along with this, just having a casual sweater that I can pull on with like leggings or just with jeans and a t-shirt. Like, it's just very casual, but could be dressed up, could be elevated. I love this. Oh my God, I went crazy. I finished it on the plane there, and then I blocked it in the Airbnb because I was like trying to explain to my friends that don't knit. I have one friend that knits and she got it, but trying to explain to my friends that don't knit, I was like, guys, it's 2x2 rib. Like, I have to block it. And I used the spare towels from the Airbnb to block it. And it dried so quickly, thank God, because I don't know what I would have done. It dried so quickly, and I was able to wear it when I was in Chicago. And I'm so happy. So happy with this. But yeah, I absolutely flew through this. So fast. And because of that, I don't really have that many notes on it. The only modification really that I made is I made the cuffs about 4 centimeters shorter. I think I've just learned that about myself. I guess I have like short arms or something, or maybe it's a preference, but I just need to make the cuffs shorter for sweaters because I don't like having to cuff them or like roll them up. And I don't like when they're like super long. So I made them a little bit shorter, super happy with them. I don't have any cute pictures of me wearing it in Chicago, unfortunately. I didn't force my friends to take any pictures of me wearing it, but I absolutely love this. And then my favorite thing about this is that there's a little I-cord on the shoulder. You can see that, and it is so perfect, and I am so happy that I decided to make this instead of a cardigan. That's all the finished objects. Thank God, that was so many. And then I have 2 whips. Should be relatively speedy, but this is my first whip. It's been sort of on pause for a while because it's not green. But this is a Berlin scarf by Suzanne Muller. Ooh, I love. Yeah, it's been on the needles for a while. I'm using, again, this is a one size pattern. What am I using? Drops brushed alpaca silk in the color number 3, which is just called gray. I'm using a 6.5 millimeter needle for it, and I'm almost done. I'm holding it double. That's important. I'm holding it double. Yeah, for those of you that aren't familiar, it's pretty simple. It's just, you really just knit in a circle, and then it's the fringes that are annoying. I do feel so passionately about this. If you are knitting a Berlin scarf, there's so many people that struggle with the fringes, me included, okay? Me included, because you do the fringes at the end. You get like fringe fatigue. I guess it's like a case of like second sock syndrome, is that what it's called? Except instead of being a second sock, it's like 11 of these freaking fringes, 10 fringes, and it's again and again and again. Just work one set of fringes first. Just knit a little bit, and then work a set of fringes, and then when you're done, you just have one set of fringes to work instead of 2. I beg of you, do that. Also, it's so much more satisfying to look at. knitting from this, then there's like an open tube. And then for whatever reason, non-knitters, not for whatever reason, I completely understand. Non-knitters have a really hard time conceptualizing that like a tube can be laid flat and it can be a scarf. And so the amount of people that see this and they ask me, oh, is it an infinity scarf? Like, and it's just going to go like this? Like, no. So it's a lot more easier for them to conceptualize, like, oh, it's a scarf. Look, you just close the end like this and then it lays flat. They see it and they're like, oh, that makes sense. And it looks so much cuter. So this is just one, it's better for my mental health at the end. And two, it's prettier to look at. Three, the non-knitters love it. So I used exactly half of one of these for one set of fringes. So this is the last ball of yarn that I'm working with. And then I have somewhere, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I have no idea where it is. I have the other half of the ball used for the other fringes. I have it somewhere. And so I'll just finish this and then add the fringes at the end, and hopefully I won't have that much left over. Let's see, how many did I buy? So all in all, I bought 12 skeins. So one skein for both fringes and then 11 in the middle. I made 2 of these last year using Drops Melody, which is a little bit thicker. It's another brushed alpaca, but it's just thicker, so you only need 1 strand. That yarn it shed so much. My Lord, it shed so much. This is shedding a lot less. I like the way it looks a lot. I feel like the look is the same. The only thing is, I don't know if you can tell. I'll hold it up for you. No, I'll explain it and then I'll hold it up for you. But basically, there's like, because it's a brushed alpaca, there's like the strand of like, sort of like string, yarn, thread, whatever in the middle, and then there's the halo around it. But it's like 2 different colors twisted together. You're not going to be able to see that. Basically, there's a light gray or a white strand also in the middle, and so it's not a uniform color, and you can see little flecks of like white thread in there, and I don't like that. I don't really like that. Oh, you're probably easier to see here. I don't like the look of it. Drops Kid Silk, some colors are the same way, and I really don't like it. So that's my only complaint about the yarn, and I don't know what that's called. I don't know if it's standard for all the Drops brushed alpaca, but I know that I don't like it. But that doesn't, like, from a distance you can't tell. It's not so bothersome that I'm gonna like not wear this or give it away or something. So yeah, that's just a comment. It's just a personal preference of mine. I feel like that's all I have to say about it. Hopefully I'll finish this soon, but I don't know. This hasn't, because I put it away for a while. It's not really sparking joy in me at the moment, but I should get it finished so that I can wear it before summer. My last whip is, I started it yesterday. You can't even tell. You probably can't even see the vision. Incredible. This is sweater number 23. No. I hate that they're all named. Sweater number 26 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I am using my extra special yarn that I bought in Paris. This is Surnaturel from La Droguerie, which is a yarn store in Paris, and they have more locations in France and in Japan. In the color bleu marine, or just navy blue. I talked about this extensively in my last podcast. I won't go over it again, about me acquiring this yarn, and anyways, I just love it. It is what is the composition? What is the thing? I think it's merino. It's just 100% wool, but it's a fingering weight yarn, and I just opted to hold it double. I knew I wanted to get a sweater out of this, but I didn't want a fingering weight sweater, and I didn't want to hold it with mohair, so that left me only one option, and that was to double it. So I did swatch. Ooh. If also you remember from my last podcast, I was talking about how I had very specific things that I wanted out of this sweater, not just from this yarn, but when I was buying yarn in Paris, what I wanted from the color, the texture, the sweater, everything. So I decided to swatch and then decide which I liked better in terms of the drape. So this is with a 5mm needle and this was with a 4.5mm needle. I feel like it's hard to tell in the camera what the drape is, but this is just, I liked this better, basically. All that is to say. I swatched and I liked how it looked on the 4.5mm needle. I felt like this was a bit too stretchy, too gapey. I still like it though, but it just felt like the yarn was the happiest with this one, if that makes sense. Like it just, I sound like Severance with like some of the numbers are scary. The yarn just looks happier here than here. I think someone will get what I'm trying to say. So once I did that and I measured the gauge, I went searching for patterns that sort of fit what I was looking for. And I found sweater number 26 by My Favorite Things. It's like a saddle shoulder, new constructions. I did a contiguous and now I'm doing a saddle shoulder. I've never done a saddle shoulder before. And it looks very like tailored, structured, but baggy. And then the neck looks like the same neckline that she uses in camisole number 5, I think, which is the only other My Favorite Things pattern that I've worked with, or the only other My Favorite Things pattern that I've made. And I love the neckline for that. I love the shaping of that camisole too, which makes me feel like I'll like the shaping of her other ones. So yeah, that's the one I settled on. I already know I'm not going to do the twisted rib on the cuffs, on the hem down there. I don't like twisted rib. I guess it depends. I can't say that like as a blanket statement. I don't know what it is about certain twisted ribs that I like and don't like. But we don't have to get into that. I'm not going to do twisted rib on this. I'm just going to do regular rib. But yeah, so I have one saddle shoulder done and then the other one I just started. So I literally just started this yesterday, but it's really fun to make. It's been fun to knit on, and I'm excited to have the finished object. I'm making the size, yeah, medium. I should have enough yarn for this. If I don't have enough yarn, I'm gonna cry. But I think I'm gonna make it relatively cropped, not super long, but just baggy and cropped. That's a later problem. We'll see. I have only one pseudo acquisition to talk about. It's a pseudo acquisition because it's a yarn pre-order. But I wanted to talk about it here in the hopes that I will upload this before the pre-order closes and that maybe some other people can go check out their yarn if I upload this in time and they have the interest in it. But I ordered some yarn from a yarn company called Dusk to Dawn Fibers. I'll link their Instagram below, but it's literally just Dusk to Dawn Fibers. It's a like yarn dyeing duo based out of Nashville, Tennessee that I follow on Instagram. I've never bought any of their yarn before, but they're doing a Nashville Part 2 collection. I guess they already did a Nashville Part 1 collection. They're doing a Nashville Part 2 collection with a bunch of gorgeous colorways. And I'm not super crazy about hand-dyed yarn in the sense that like I'll buy a hand-dyed yarn if it's from a designer I really like or a collection that I'm really attached to, like the Taylor Swift, obviously. If I have something specific that I want out of it, I'll buy it then. I will often see collections and colors that I love, that I think are gorgeous, or something that I have sentimental attachment to, and I won't buy the yarn. I'm very good about looking at it and being like, oh, that's really cute. I could make something adorable with it, but like, I don't need to spend the money on that right now. I have yarn like that. I don't need more yarn. And then also another caveat, I'm originally from the South. I grew up going to Nashville a lot. I love Nashville. It holds like a special sentimental place in my heart. So I saw their Nashville collection. I was like, that's so cute. They have a Nashville hot chicken color. And when I tell you I saw it on Instagram, I knew immediately that I had to have it, that it was going to be mine. Oh my goodness. I knew immediately. It's this, I'll put it up on here. It's this gorgeous like burnt orange, with some like browns and like auburns in there. I absolutely love the color. And then in addition, I absolutely love Nashville hot chicken. The restaurant that they like tagged, or I don't know if it's specifically Nashville hot chicken or just Hattie B's hot chicken. It's like an iconic chicken place in Nashville that I've been to a bunch. I love Hattie B's hot chicken. I love Nashville hot chicken. My spice tolerance is like in the middle, so I don't get it like super spicy, but I love it. I absolutely adored it, and I was like, I have to have it. I have to have it. So I bought it. The pre-order opened last Friday. It closes, I want to say the 16th. Wait, let me double check before. Yes, it closes March 16th. So I absolutely love it. Also, this is not sponsored. I wish it was sponsored, and so I didn't have to spend a ton of money on the Nashville hot chicken yarn. But yeah, I love it. I already think I know what I'm going to make with it. I think I'm going to buy some mohair, hold it with it, and make the tulip loop v-neck by Other Loops. I'm just imagining it with like a little white turtleneck underneath it, and then like some cute jeans and some like black sunglasses. In the fall, it's going to be like a gorgeous fall sweater. Yes, I'm already super excited about that. Obviously, I'll show it to you guys when it comes in. Although I will be moving at some point, and so I sent it to my friend who lives in upstate New York because she won't be moving anytime soon. So it'll arrive, and then the next point that I see her, that's when I'll have it and I'll show it to you guys, of course. But that's my only acquisition. I just wanted to talk about it in case anybody else wanted to go check out their collection, because it has some absolutely gorgeous colorways in it. As always, I'll keep talking about my other non-knitting interests for a couple of minutes, but not too long because I'm tired of talking. So if you were only here for the yarn and you want to leave, that is totally fine. I really appreciate you sticking around, listening to this really, really long podcast. Again, I hope to not go like 6 weeks in between recording because that was like just a lot to get through. Probably, for me and for you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Formula One, it's almost back. It's almost back. Drive to Survive, I think got released yesterday. Oh no, it got released on Friday. Either way, it got released. I haven't even started it yet because I was exhausted all day yesterday and I just slept. So I hope if you're watching it, you're enjoying it. And I hope to start it sometime soon. Formula One's almost back. I literally cannot wait. I'm so excited. Also, the Traders. This will not contain any spoilers for the Traders US because I have not finished it yet. I had so much media to consume last week. Like last Friday, it was like was it Thursday? I left for Chicago on Thursday, and it was Traders finale, Traders reunion, Severance, Love is Blind finale. And it was just like so much. And now like Drive to Survive, like I have so much media to catch up on because I didn't watch any of it over the weekend because I was hanging out with my girls. Why would it be like, guys, give me like an hour, I gotta go finish the Traders? Like, no, I was hanging with my girlfriends that I never see. I have so much media to catch up on. So I haven't watched the finale yet. I think I'm gonna watch it tonight. I'm so excited. Again, I won't say any names because no spoilers. I don't know where you guys are, but I'm like so excited to see what happens. The cliffhanger. I know who I don't want to win, and I know who I want to win. Okay, fine. Spoilers. If you have not watched the finale, I've watched everything but the finale, so mute me or just like leave if you don't want to hear it. This is a warning. This is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I take spoilers very seriously. Okay, if Danielle wins, I'm gonna lose my mind. I cannot stand her. She was a terrible trader. It broke my heart. To see Carolyn leave. I wanted her to win so badly, but I do just feel like it was so sad to see those two girls feuding. I was like, ladies, please stop. Please, girl power, manipulate your way to the top together, please. And Danielle just bothered me the way she was trying to get rid of people, and I mean, the thing is like, I kept saying the whole time I didn't think she was a good trader, but like, she's made it like, as far as almost any other traders ever made it, like any original trader. So like, who am I to say she was a really bad trader? Because she's like maybe about to win this whole thing. So we'll see. Who do I want to win, you ask? I'm so glad you asked. There's only one scenario that I will be happy with. maybe 2, but the second I don't see happening. I want Dylan Efron and Gabby to win the whole thing. Those are the only 2 people that I want to leave with any money. That's who I want. Dolores, I like her. Don't get me wrong. I really like her. I think she's been useless. It always bothers me. Chriselle did the same thing. It just always bothers me when people are like voting between 2 people. And then they're like, I don't want to be responsible for sending somebody home. And it's like, do you not understand? It's the same as the US election. I'm like, do you not understand that like only one of 2 people are going to win? Only one of 2 people are going to go home. And you just decide to be like, I don't really care. Like, no, at least it's okay. But Dolores with her just like out there theories, I don't feel like she deserves to win. I would be happy for her if she won. I don't feel like she deserves to win. Ivers, he's all right. He's the kind of person I'm like, how did you make it this far? Like, how did you do that? And then Brittany, I was kind of sad that she got chosen to be a traitor. She's doing a good job, but like, I would have been happy if she had won, but anyways, it doesn't matter. But Gabby, I love Gabby. I've always loved Gabby. I loved Gabby when she was on The Bachelor. Like before she was the Bachelorette, I loved Gabby. I followed her on Instagram for so long. I loved her as the Bachelorette. I don't listen to her podcast that much, but I absolutely love her. And she just got married recently. I'm so glad for her. So happy for her. So I hope Gabby wins. I love her. Okay, that's it for the traitors. And then I finished Love is Blind. Love is Blind Minnesota. Love is Bland. I don't really have that much to say about it. Again, I won't do any spoilers for Love is Blind. I won't get into it because I feel like I just got into the traitors a lot and I'm getting really tired. It was like a pretty average season, I feel like. We have way too many pod episodes. Why do we have that many pod episodes? But overall, I thought it was a good season. It was pretty average. Like, in the sense that I keep watching it and I'm like, why am I still watching this? Because nothing is ever as good as the first season, and yet I keep watching it. So I enjoyed it. I do just love talking about the nuances. I loved all of the political aspects of it this year. I enjoyed that. I did enjoy it. I'm happy with the outcomes of all of them. There's no one that makes me sad. Again, that's no spoilers. No one that I feel like said yes, that I was like, oh, girl, don't do that. And nobody that said no, that I was like, oh my God, they seemed so cute. They could have worked through it. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the results. So, and then I'm powering through Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I'm almost caught up. I think I'm about halfway through season 5. I watched all the stuff with Monica, receipts, proofs, screenshots, timelines. Incredible. Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, books. Wait, I want to talk about books because I've read some really cool books. This is like the last thing I'll talk about, guys, I promise. I read one of my favorite books that I've read recently. It's called We Used to Live Here by, I don't know who it's by Marcus Kleiwer. So good. I feel like it should be like a horror movie. Like, I feel like it would be so good as a movie. Really eerie, but also like, it just like the first page, there's no like intro, preamble, exit. Like, it just starts and the plot starts, and it's just creepy, but not like gory, scary. Yeah, I really, really loved it. If you like a horror suspense movie, but you want to read it instead, you should read this. I also read The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, super popular book. I enjoyed it. Another like thriller crime-ish book. I really, really enjoyed it. It's super popular. I'm sure you've heard about it, but I really, really liked that. And then another one, Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabahattin Ali. It's originally a Turkish book. It's from like the 1920s, and it's this like love story, but they both are just deeply flawed and immature. It was really interesting to read. It was a really quick read. It was just recently translated into English a couple of years ago, like in the 2000s. Oh wait, no, the book's from the 1940s, but it's set in the 20s, I think. Yeah, a really good book, a really good love story that makes you think about like why relationships, like what makes up a relationship, how it starts, how people's flaws affect relationships. It was just really interesting. I really enjoyed it. And I feel like that's it. And I won't talk about anything else, but yeah, I'm gonna call it a day. That was like a lot of talking. But as always, if you made it to the end, I really appreciate you tuning in and watching and catching up with me and letting me yap about all of my knitting. And I hope the next podcast at least isn't as long. So fingers crossed. I'm starting to think about spring knitting, wrapping up my like winter knits, and then hopefully spring's like around the corner and we can start talking about spring knitting, because that would bring me a lot of joy. So again, thank you guys so much. Happy knitting, and I'll see you in the next video.